This is Jarrod Horak for the RunawayHorse.com. I just covered the Pat O'Brien Stakes from Del Mar in my first handicapping video this week. Now I'm going to cover the Travers in this video. Now if you're interested in my full card analysis from Del Mar, you can find that at the RunawayHorse.com on my sales page this week, and then next week is closing week at Del Mar, where they're going to be running 5 days. So they're running 4 days this week, 5 days on closing week. They end on Labor Day. So if you're interested in free selections, I'm going to provide links in the description in this video from multiple websites where I post free selections, from HorseRacingNation.com, my daily best bets blog, the Del Mar official website where I post a free selection each day that Del Mar runs, and at the RunawayHorse.com on my California and New York pages on weekends. I cover some stakes races there. You can find those free selections and the links in the description in this video. Now we're going to dive right into the Travers Stakes. This is going to be Saturday, August 28th, 2021, the 12th race from Saratoga, the Grade 1 Travers Stakes. The purse, $1,250,000 for 3-year-olds, traveling a mile and a quarter, 7-horse field with a scheduled post time of 6:12 p.m. Eastern Time. Midnight Bourbon is number 1. Now, he's one that I've liked this year. I picked him as my value top choice in the Preakness Stakes. He went off 3-1. He tracked the pace. He took over. Rumbauer ran him down that day. He was clearly second best. And then last time out in the Haskell, again, I made him my value top choice. He was 5-1 that day. He battled on the pace, and then ending up in the stretch, he got into a tight spot. Hot Rod Charlie, he clipped heels with Hot Rod Charlie. He went down. He was going to finish third. There was no doubt that Hot Rod Charlie and Mandaloon were going to finish in front of him. He was getting a bit tired in the stretch, and he would have been well clear of the rest in third, but he clipped heels, he fell, and then Hot Rod Charlie was subsequently disqualified for causing that interference. So in that race, that was the last time he ran. So now he's coming off of that race where he fell. And if you look at his longer races, he typically likes to get involved, like he did in the Risen Star at 1 1/8, where he tracked the pace and he finished third. Mile and 3/16 in the Louisiana Derby, he tracked the pace, he finished second. Hot Rod Charlie beat him. The Preakness Stakes, tracked the pace, took the lead, finished second. It's been that kind of story with him. And then in the Kentucky Derby, he had a bad trip. He wasn't able to get involved. But in all of his races that were longer, 1 1/8, 1 3/16, 1 1/4, he was losing ground in the stretch. So I'm not sure that this 1 1/4 distance is going to help him. On the plus side, there's not a lot of pace in this race, and he does have the inside post, and maybe he tries to wire the field. The 2 essential qualities, certainly the one to beat. He's 4-5 morning line, 7 for 8 lifetime. The only time he has lost, the Kentucky Derby from post 14. He had a wide trip. He finished 4th, beaten a length. He could have easily been right there and possibly won that race if he didn't lose as much ground. Won all of his other starts. He's a 3-time Grade 1 winner. He won the Breeders' Futurity and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile as a 2-year-old. He won the Southwest Stakes to start his 3-year-old season, then the Bluegrass Stakes. The Kentucky Derby was his next start and his only loss. In the Belmont Stakes, he won that one over Hot Rod Charlie. And then the Jim Dandy Stakes last time out, his prep race for this, he stalked wide in a 5-horse field, and he got the job done by a half length. Now, that was just a prep for this, and it kind of his Jim Dandy reminds me a lot of the Coaching Club American Oaks for Malathot, where Malathot did all the dirty work from the inside post. She looked like a standout, and she ended up getting upset in that race. But then in the 1 1/4 Grade 1 Alabama, she bounced back and won that one. So Essential Quality actually did get the job done, even though it wasn't his best race. He was clearly best, though. He was wide throughout that day. There was no reason for him to be fully cranked for that Grade 2 when this was the main goal, this Grade 1 1 1/4 Travers. We know he can get the distance. He's already won at 1.5 miles. He's got running style versatility. They can place him anywhere. 1-for-1 at Saratoga. A lot of positives here, but there's not going to be any value at 4-5. The 3, Keepmeinmind. He's 1-for-10 lifetime with 3 seconds and 2/3. So he's going to be really hard to endorse on top. A horse that's only won 1 race in his life to win a race like the Travers. But that one win was a stakes race, the Grade 2 Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes, as a 2-year-old. But since then, this year, he lost the Rebel Stakes, the Bluegrass, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and he wasn't close in any of those races. And then he finally started finding some decent form. In the Grade 3 Ohio Derby, he rallied from last place to finish 3rd by a half. And then last time out, in the Jim Dandy. He rallied from 5th and last, finished 2nd, half length behind Essential Quality, but he did rally inside. Essential Quality was wide throughout. So Keep Me in Mind's one that Joel Rosario got to know him last time, and I think he can certainly hit the board, but I don't really want to play him on top with that 1-for-10 record, and he hasn't won since a 2-year-old. The 4, Dynamic One, he is a bit interesting for trainer Todd Pletcher. Union Rags is the sire. Smart Strike, the dam sire. So he's bred to run a long distance. He started getting good when he broke his maiden at 1 1/8 when they stretched him out to that distance. March 7th at Aqueduct. Missed by a head in the Wood Memorial to his stablemate, Bubonic. So Bubonic was a big long shot that day, and Dynamic One at 15-1 was the price as well. So that was long shots ruled in that Wood Memorial. Kentucky Derby, he did not run well. That was probably too much too soon. They laid him off, brought him back in the Curlin Stakes, a restricted stakes race at 1 1/8 on a good track at Saratoga on July 30th. So in that prep for the Travers, he went last to first from the outside post. Good effort that day. Won pretty easily, earned his career best speed figure. So he's could easily improve and run a better race in his second start after the layoff. This is a tough spot though. The 5 Miles D, he also ran in the Curlin Stakes, and he's the most lightly raced entrant in this field. He's only run 3 times. He was 4th in his debut. That was at 7 furlongs last fall at Belmont. That was a key race. Multiple horses came out of that race and did well, including Caddo River. Your runner-up there was a stakes winner, and he was on the Derby Trail. So Miles D, second time out, he did not run again from October of 2020 to June of 2021, a 1-turn mile at Belmont Park. He stalked the pace. He won that one pretty easily as the favorite. Then he ran in his first stakes race, first start around 2 turns, first start at Saratoga on July 30th on that good track in the Curlin Stakes. And he had the inside post, and he was my value top choice that day at 8-1. And he finished a good second. He rallied from 6th. He was right there at the top of the stretch, but Dynamic One was able to run him down, and he was 7 lengths clear of the rest. So Curlin's the sire, Bernardini the dam sire. Distance should not be a problem. A lot of upside here with only 3 lifetime starts. It's just a question of, is he ready to face a field like this in just his 4th start? Flavien Prat is going to ride for trainer Chad Brown. Number 6, Masqueparade. He's one that should be part of the pace, and I liked him. I picked him in the Ohio Derby, and he prevailed that day. That was his stakes debut. He was placed first in a maiden race at Fairgrounds in March, and then an optional claiming race at Churchill Downs on May 1st. He won by 11 lengths at 1 1/8, earning a good speed figure. He duplicated that good speed figure in the Ohio Derby, winning by a half length over King Fury and Keep Me in Mind. And then last time out in the Jim Dandy, he battled on the pace. He had the lead. He could not hold on. Essential Quality and Keep Me in Mind were clear. And then he was well clear of the rest. He was 3rd, beaten a little less than 3 lengths, and he was 4 lengths clear of the rest. So he's going to be up on the pace. I'm not sure that the 1.25 miles does him any favors. This extra distance isn't going to help him, but he should sit a comfortable trip. He should be up on the pace, out in the clear. And then finally, number 7, King Fury. He's 15-1 morning line for trainer Ken McPeak. Another one that I don't think the distance is going to be a problem, but the lack of a serious pace could be. In the Lexington Stakes, when he made his first start as a 3-year-old in the slop, there was an electric pace that day where 2 stretch-out sprinters set really fast fractions, and he rallied from 10 lengths back to win that one easily. And then in the Ohio Derby, again, he rallied from the back with Keep Me in Mind, but Masqueparade won that one. He was second, a nose in front of Keep Me in Mind. And then they put him on turf last time out. The Saratoga Derby, 1 3/16, never got involved from post 11, and then 11 horse field. He was racing wide that day. So now he's back on the main track. I just don't think he's going to get enough pace to chase in here. I think it's going to be really tough to beat the favorite. I am going to pick Essential Quality on top because I just think he's classier and better than these, and he almost has to move forward off of his Jim Dandy. I said I just view him like I did Malathot, and if you watched my video last week on the Alabama and a lot of the things I said about Malathot, and Malathot was my top choice, I feel the same way about Essential Quality. Very good, useful prep race over the track. Second start after a layoff, he will move forward, but I'm not saying anything great here. He's 4-5 morning line, but I do think he's going to win. And looking for value, and I think one of the ways I'm going to try to look for some value is I'm going to try to beat Midnight Bourbon. I don't think that really this distance is best for him. He just fell in his last race, and he's listed at 9-2. And even though the pace may play in his favor, he hasn't proven that he can go this far against this kind of company. And Essential Quality is never going to really let him get away. So I just think that Essential Quality has more class and stamina, and Midnight Bourbon's going to take too much money, and he could be worth trying to beat. You can certainly use Keep Me in Mind underneath and some others, but the direction I'm going to go is I'm just going to say Essential Quality is better than these. The other horses that he beat in the Jim Dandy, they ran their best races. They're not going to run any better. And I'm going to go with the horses in the Curlin Stakes underneath Essential Quality in this race. That'll be number 4, Dynamic One, and then number 5, Miles D. Now, Dynamic One, second start off the layoff. Union Rags, Smart Strike, good distance pedigree. Same with Miles D, the 5. This is only his 4th career start with that Curlin Bernardini pedigree. I think he'll be able to run a good race, and maybe both of those horses can hit the board underneath Essential Quality and give us a decent trifecta in the Travers Stakes. So that'll wrap up my look at the Travers. Again, next week I'll be back and I'll look at some closing weekend stakes races from Del Mar and Saratoga. My full cards over at therunawayrhorse.com from Del Mar if you're interested in those. And that will wrap up this week's video. I'll be back next week. Until then, good luck at the races.